Hi everyone, I'm Ton Smits and today I want to share a method how to safely relocate a snake from your property. This video is primarily aimed at people who have no experience or little experience with handling snakes, and therefore I expect you probably won't have any tools ready like a snake hook or anything, so I will show how to fabricate your own hook and what other tools to use to safely relocate a snake. But before we start, I think it's important to add that handling snakes is a risk. And I think when you follow my advice, you will probably be safe, but anyway, always be careful. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, better to call a professional to relocate the snake if it's necessary. I will be using a paint roller and 2 long sticks and a bucket. I don't have a tall bucket like I would actually want to recommend you to use, but I will show one in the video which I think would be suitable. However, I will use quite a small bucket, and hopefully I can show why that's not the best choice. Alright, so time to make ourselves a snake hook. For the snake handling today I'm using a snake hook, because I think it's the most humane way to do it and it causes the least stress for the snake. And that's not only because it's better for the snake, but it's also better for you. When the snake is not stressed, it will be calm and it's less likely to get defensive. We've also seen people use other tools like a noose or the grabbers, snake tongs. The snake will really feel like it's getting caught, so it will get more defensive and then it's causing a more dangerous situation than when using the hook. And besides that, a lot of these tools can cause serious injuries to the snake, especially the noose. You often see people dragging the snake up, holding it up, and you could break its neck. Or with the grabbers, you can break the ribs or anything, so it's better to use a hook. Make sure that when you fix the hook that it will not turn on the stick. To the right is a professional snake hook and to the left is the self-made hook. So at the moment I'm staying with my family-in-law in Isan, northeast Thailand. And last night I walked out with my 2-year-old boy for some critters, and it was perhaps 10-20 meters from the place we're staying when I found the first snake, which happened to be a white-lipped pit viper. So I decided that was a good opportunity to capture the snake and use it for this educational video. Alright, so here we have our situation. We have a snake. I hope you can see it. And it's posing nicely. So before you capture the snake, I think it's wise to try and identify the snake. Try to take some pictures with your phone from different angles, preferably. If it's in a dark spot, use your camera flash to make sure that it brings out all the details. Upload it to one of our Facebook groups. I will add links in the description. And then hopefully you will get a quick answer, and then you know what you're dealing with and what precautions you should take. Secondly, I would like to recommend to clear the working area, remove anything that's lying around so you can move freely, won't trip over anything while you're moving the snake from its spot to your bucket. And also try to close any doors and holes so the snake, if it's fleeing, that it won't get into your house or another building. So we will first strategically place the bucket not too far, but you don't want to get too close with the snake. Take off the lid, and leave the lid somewhere where you can easily grab it after you caught the snake. My second stick I also leave just on one spot. Alright, then we have a look. This I made a very long snake hook. Normally I would use a shorter one myself, but for safety reasons I think you are probably better off to take a longer hook. So the idea is that you place the hook like around mid-body, maybe a third behind the head, somewhere there, and then calmly lift the snake off its location. And then basically all we need to do is lift it into the bucket where it's should be safely contained. So when you're trying to capture a snake, you have to think about what the snake is seeing. Usually the snakes are at a low angle, and you look like this giant monster. So it's nothing personal. So when you walk to the snake, you try to walk in a straight line towards it or away from it. Don't make sudden movements from the left to the right, because that will be more threatening to the snake. See, it responds quite stressed a bit. Carefully move, very slowly. And then we lift the snake. It's not hooked very well. There we go. Then we slowly move to the bucket. You grab the lid, be ready with it. And then slowly move the snake into the bucket. It will maybe try to get out. This could be the tricky part, that it sticks to the hook and it will be hard to take it off. So that's why I recommend to have this second stick ready. Let me grab it, because then you can maybe move the snake off the hook. Sometimes a tap of the tail could work. This is another situation, especially with tree climbing snakes, that sometimes they start moving onto the hook, which is obviously a bit scary if you are not used to handling snakes. But just stay calm and just push the head back to the other end. Like the snake is basically looking for a way to get away. He's not really coming towards you just to cause any harm or anything. Alright. That's calm. Usually the tail is quite sensitive. Well, that worked. When you touch the tail, it might drop. So now we need to get our lid. If you would have a lid with a handle, you could actually hook it and place it with the hook on the bucket. That way you won't have to get your hands near. In this case, I don't have that on my bucket. So you have to be very careful. Make sure the snake is not coming out of the bucket while you try to place the lid on the top. So keep all your fingers away from the side and voila. Then keep some pressure on the lid. And then you should have these handles to lock the lid, which again I don't have. And basically that's it. Then all we need to do is move the snake to a location nearby, away from your property. In hindsight, I'm not really happy with the stick I've used for the snake hook. It's a very heavy material, which makes it harder to balance. So I recommend to use a lightweight material like bamboo, or have a look at the paint roller pole that they sell at the Homepro, which is a extendable pole. Gets about 2 meters long, I think, and it's probably much easier to handle than a heavy stick. I will add a link in the description below so you can have a look. So another thing I should explain is that When you try to remove the snake and you have it on your hook, it's not unlikely that the snake drops because it's scared. It tries to move away, and then if it's on the floor out in the open, it will start to move away. Don't panic, just relax, and when it's moving, just try to first try to get it moving. So when it starts slithering off, you just place your hook in front of the head and let him slide onto the hook. Could take a bit of time, but that way it doesn't think it's being caught by you. Instead it's just, it thinks it's moving onto a stick or something. And then when it's like halfway in the body, you slowly start to lift it. What you see, then sometimes they drop off again, and you just repeat it till it's, usually when you lift it up a bit, you see, then he tries to move another way, because it's, when the drop is too high, it won't just fall off. And then drop him in the bucket. Same procedure. So the reason I recommended to have 2 sticks ready, one snake hook and just one plain stick, is because you see what's happening now. The snake is on the stick, and especially arboreal species, they just like to start climbing onto the hook towards your hands. This might feel quite threatening for you if you're not used to handling snakes, but actually, if you look, it's very calm, and it's just looking for a way out, instead of, it's not just coming to you to bite you in your fingers. Though obviously if you let it, it might. But that's why if you have a second stick, you can tap the nose and you see it will move back. And you can just try to help it to turn the other way as you try to move the snake towards the bucket. Obviously, if it gets too close to your hands, just drop the hook, grab the other stick, wait for the snake to leave the hook, and then once you can safely grab it again, try to catch the snake again. So the snake I'm working with today has been pretty calm. Partly that has to do with the way I'm handling it, but it also depends on the species you're dealing with. Some species can be more of a pain, and even individuals of the same species can be more of a challenge. So now the final act is to release the snake. It's recommended to do this not too far away, because the snake might die if you relocate it out of its home range. Then all your efforts were for nothing. So here we go. I just release it where I caught it. Just a few meters here. This is the spot. Alright. So when you release the snake, you have 2 options. You could either just lift it out of the bucket with your hook, or you could just place the bucket on its side and let the snake find its way out by itself, which is probably the safest option. So I will try that first. So once we're ready to release the snake, we put pressure on the lid. Of course, you need to check if the snake is not coming out on the sides. So bear in mind that these lockable lids are not 100% escape proof. A strong snake can push up the lid on the sides which are not locked, and if it managed to get its head in between, it will start to get out, and that could be a dangerous situation. So if you have to leave the snake in the bucket for a longer period of time, make sure you place some heavy stuff on the top of the lid so the snake cannot get out. And also important, make sure you place the bucket in the shade and not in the sun, because if it's in the sun, the snake would get baked alive. Then keep pressure on the lid, open the locks. And then normally, if you would have this handle on the lid, you could use a hook to hook it and lift it off, then you don't have to stay close to the bucket. In my case, I will just have to lift off the lid by myself. So I have to be careful, make sure that the snake is not coiled up inside the lid. It happens. So always watch that and turn it away from you as you open it. So you go straight up and the lid is clear. There's nothing inside. So the snake is still in the bucket. And then you use the hook, pick one of the handles, and you carefully just move the bucket down into the bush. Then it's a matter of waiting, or you could just grab the hook and give it a bit of a push. Let's do that. Doing that all day. Right. There he goes. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable with the snakes, you should keep some more distance than I'm doing now. But yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. And there he goes. Back to his home. Bye-bye. Alright, so the snake has been safely released, nobody got hurt, so I guess it's a successful relocation. I've often wondered if I should share this type of video, because obviously there's a danger involved and I don't want anyone to get hurt. At the same time, I think people are driving cars every day, which is also dangerous, and at least if you have the proper education, you can reduce the risk. And I think it's the same with snake handling. If you're careful and you follow my advice, I think you will be fine. Just if you feel like you don't have the situation under control, just give up, call a professional, and maybe try another time. So stay safe. Thanks for watching.